From York, it's 5:23.
Now, over the next couple of months, many of the world's top footballers will experience incredible highs as they head to the World Cup in Russia. But also, for some, there will be crushing lows. And if things do get too much to cope with, how comfortable would they be about speaking about their own mental health? Well, as part of Mental Health Awareness Week, I've been chatting to the former footballer turned human performance specialist, Kevin George. His own experiences with severe anxiety inspired him to write the book Soccology, in which many top players talk about their own mental health for the first time. We began by chatting about those England players who don't make the plane to the World Cup.
When it comes to the England squad, when they're saying we're not going to pick you, it needs to be a process. One, because of the welfare of the player, but also they might be going back for that player soon. You know, you don't want to play there. Michael Carrick retired the other day. He said he didn't even want to go to the England games. You know, so saying to the player, do you know what, we're not going to pick you, and actually discussing it and going through it and taking the time. They might not agree with your decision, but they'll respect it and they'll feel a lot better about it. Whereas there's been situations in the past at England or at clubs where players have been left resentful, even depressed, because they've not been happy with how the process has been carried out.
The big names that you've spoken to for this book, the likes of Gail Clichy, Fabian Delph, have spoken about their mental health. Do you feel like players currently, if they were in a situation where they felt vulnerable, that they could deal with it with their clubs?
Yes and no. Reason being is Fabian said that the sports psychologist at Man City, he's heard people say that, you know, the person is really good. He personally hasn't spoken to that person. Danny Guthrie said the same, but he went and saw his own person. So there's this thing about, do I trust the person who's employed by the club? Now, speaking to coaches at clubs, they say the same thing to me. They say, will the club hold it against them? They're employed by the club and they're asking that question.
So they feel if they're seen to be vulnerable,
yeah, or if
some of these players current players you're speaking to, if they're seen to be vulnerable, what their playing career might be in threat?
Yeah, because the club will then think, okay, well, if this guy is psychologically vulnerable, can he handle the pressure that's going to come on a Saturday? I don't think I'm going to pick him. I think one of the biggest things, and I love it, is talking about prehab, talking about actually what mental health is, because I feel like we talk about mental illness and not health, but also talking about how we can live a healthier life mentally. So that's why, for me, Fabian Delph, whose injuries and how he was treated as a result of his injuries led him to live a healthier lifestyle through eating clean, through meditation, and just being mindful. Well, when you meditate, it almost encourages you to be mindful throughout your life. Gail Clichy, in the book, he talks about him stumbling across yoga nidra. And yes, it helps you physically, but it's just a case of now where he is. He says, if I play bad, I play bad. Me thinking about it's not changing anything, and there's more important things to life.
The high-level coaches that you talk to, do they feel equipped enough to deal with mental health?
I don't think so. I think you've got people who, they value it, but they don't understand it enough. I think nationally we're starting to now open up, but there's a difference between actually really truly understanding it. You've got someone like Michael Beale, who's in the book. He loves coaching, and what he says is that, you know, this is a part of coaching. When he talks about mental health, welfare, whatever it is, it's a part of coaching. He worked under Mourinho at Chelsea, and he talks about how Mourinho embraced NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, and looking at the whole player. For example, when Benny McCarthy was under Mourinho at Porto, he made him ring his mum and say, do you know what, I'm going to take care of your son. So what that done for Benny McCarthy's thinking, this is Mourinho. He doesn't need to do that. But it changes how that player feels. When you spend so much time with someone, and in a way you're putting your life in their hands, they have a duty of care.
Does football get mental health? Does it understand it?
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. As I said, it's a good thing. So at the moment, systematically, sports psychologists, welfare, it has to be in the game. But it's almost been forced in football, which doesn't make sense to me. I always say, if I'm a manager or if I'm a club owner, it's in my best interest for the goals I want to achieve that the welfare of my staff is priority. But at the moment, it's a case of the owner saying, I'm putting in money, so I expect this, and the manager thinking, I haven't got time to care about you because I've got to worry about myself because I might not have a job. And unfortunately, everyone's doing it all backwards and they don't understand it enough.
Former footballer Kevin George, who now works with clubs including Manchester United, Liverpool, Arsenal, to help give players the psychological support they need. And of course,
Oh, gone.
no, I was just say help always available via the BBC Action Line.